The time has finally come for the first Spectre build log on the channel. I'm sure many of you were wondering if this would ever actually happen. I'll get to that shortly. Let's start by going back to the beginning and taking a look at some of the first Spectre systems built by people like Linus Media Group, Peter Brands, Ken from AKMod. We worked with AMD, with NVIDIA. We partnered up with Extreme PC from Canada. We did the Post Malone Spectre for Jay, and many other great people who were involved in getting Spectre started. And in many ways, some of these people were involved in the early development of the case, because something we believe in more than anything else at Singularity Computers is progress, and perfection is something that we're always working towards, but it is unattainable. And so whenever given the chance, we're going to adapt and improve, and this is something that we do with all of our products. And due to the way our company is uniquely set up, I've been building high-end custom liquid-cooled systems every day for a decade now. And so all of the experience which has led up to those designs, but also the fact that I'm using our products every day in my builds. And so that just gives you just the most incredible opportunity to do development and to be constantly improving. And so whenever I find something, I call my engineer over. We might find a way to improve performance or just improve somehow, and we brainstorm it. I get the rest of my team over, and they have some input, and then we implement it straight away. We go straight into CAD, and then a month later, it's out there in the product. So just to give you an example, our Protium D5 pump top is up to revision 42, and some of the revisions have had many changes per revision. So hundreds of changes since the beginning, but we kind of do it in a way that's not disruptive to the market. So most of the changes are focused on function, and they're quite subtle, but over time, huge improvements and changes. And even more so with Spectre, due to its complexity, being something so unique and new, there has been so much opportunity for improvement. And I've actually done more builds into Spectre now than I've ever done into any other case, by at least 10 times over, even CaseLab's cases. So we have come out with Spectre 2 a while back. That was the result of a further 18 months of development since Spectre 1. And by the way, what you're looking at here is all Spectre 1. There's no Spectre 2 in this video. There'll be plenty of Spectre content coming now, so you're certainly going to see it. But, even since then, we've been continuing to develop. And also, due to the way that we produce Spectre, it's very exclusive and limited. We actually put a cap on the number that we produce at a time, and that's so that we can maintain our quality and our support. We've deliberately limited our own case. It's one of the reasons why I haven't done any coverage until now on the channel, because we didn't need to do any marketing. We didn't need to market the case. I also believe that a product sells itself, or it should. And another reason that I've held back until now is out of respect for the customers who were waiting. Because our standards were so high, at the beginning we had a lot of trouble getting it produced. And we went through some different suppliers, and it's always the way. There were no guidelines. This is something that's so new, it's never been done before. It's so different. There was a high scrap rate, and I made the rule that I would personally hand tighten every single fastener on the case. Particularly the manifold requires somebody who really understands the case and knows what they're doing. So it's things like that that meant that it was never going to go massive, and we never intended it to. This was always meant to be an exclusive case. So welcome to build 44, and this is certainly not the first Spectre system that I built. There's a lot of Spectre content to come now, and it's not going to really come consecutively. It's kind of going to be all over the place, some Spectre 1s, some Spectre 2s, and that's usually the way I do my content, put my build logs out. Every now and then I'll throw in an old one, even up to over a year old. And this one is fairly old, and I'm not sure why this one is ending up first. It's just the way that it's worked out, but it is a fairly interesting build because the customer wanted a kind of futuristic steampunk theme, but very subtle and very much focused on copper. So really the theme is kind of just copper, and I did a lot of the copper with a special effect custom paint, DNA Virtual Chrome, with Cola Brown Candy over it. And the reason it's really dark copper is because the customer didn't want any coating on any of the copper. He wanted it to tarnish over time. And so with the paint, I was aiming for what the copper would look like, 6 months down the track when it's actually properly tarnished, and then it would all start to match up a little bit better. But this build also has some interesting components, a couple of Vega 64s, the Intel 7900X, EVGA X299 Dark, Torx 32 gig Corsair memory, Corsair 1600i. It has the Aqua Computer radiators, which are actually too thick for Spectre because Spectre is designed for 60mm thick radiators maximum, but it easily fits with them. But these are like 75mm thick, and I think one of them is even thicker than that. And so I had to do a mod where I put the fans on the outside and I built some shrouds. I'm sure some of you were expecting me to go into extreme detail on the case, but there's just so much to cover that it's difficult to know where to start. I mean, even just covering the build, this build itself or any build, but then getting into everything that the case can do. And I have so much Spectre content that is built up, I would rather just show you what the case can do instead of just going on and on about it. And I think I'm going to condense all of this Spectre content that I have and show it to you quite quickly and just cover the details piece by piece throughout each build. And I also want to wait until we get on to some of the Spectre 2.0 builds before I really start to get into the detail, because the case has also changed so much. So for now, I'm just going to let you sit back and watch me build.